we should be good now. So that is the record, boys and girls. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the Blood Song by Jasmine Encarnacion. As I like to say, this was an amazing record to be a part of. And I am very excited to show you guys this record today and talk about the production, the mixing on it. So we're going to have some fun really digging into this record tonight. So we're going to start really with the production part of it. We're going to talk about the players on it because I had some really, really dope players. But I'll talk about, and we'll solo and kind of showcase some stuff production-wise. As we kind of go through, and then we'll talk about the people that played on it. So drums, of course, were done by my guy Ashton Smith. So we'll dig into those in a second. Ashton Smith played drums. Bass was done. Well, I programmed all of the perc. That's all the perc is me, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. But I did the perc programming using loop elements. We'll get that. We'll get a QR code up on the screen. We talk about that. Bass was my guy Rod freaking Stuckey. Stuckey is an amazing bass player. This dude contributed probably the best line in the entire record, which was somewhere here in the vamp, right around in here. Y'all check this line out right here. Right here. That one line is my favorite part of the entire song. I'll solo it so you can kind of see what he did, and then we'll break it down in detail. And just the fact that he was able to get right back down there that quick and hit that line, he is just so clean. Rod is amazing. So Rod Stuckey, amazing bass player. Keys were done by my guy, that's keys and organ, and aux was done by Josh Isaac. Keys, all of that is Josh Isaac. Aux, keys, aux, all of that. He even helped with the arrangement with a lot of those hits in there. That's all Josh's brainchild. Strings were done by my guy, Brian Williams. Amazing. So strings were done by him. Acoustics were done by my guy, Aaron Daniels. He just did his thing with the acoustic. So we got a lot of moving parts in here. And I think that's all guitars, regular guitars, were done by my guy, Steven Dukes. We're going to break down some of this stuff in there. And that was all of the players on the record. The BGVs were done by Jasmine herself as the artist. She came in and sung BGVs on her own record. And my guy, Tim Moore, and my sis, Karen Poole, they were the squad. They're amazing. I love working with my crew. So they did some really, really dope work on this. So with this song, what I like to do with records like this, and I always try to figure out ways to do this. I used to try to figure out how to do things like this when I was just playing in church. I always enjoy bringing a bridge between the old and the new. You know what I mean? Because, everybody's always talking about gospel losing its voice, the all of the vibes, the CCM vibes, the whole, modern GCM type stuff. I've had my gripes with it as well. So my remedy is when I get records like this, I try to figure out how I can infuse the old with the new. So when Jazz brought this song to me, instantly, and I began to hear it and begin to listen to it, I instantly was like, yo, I got to figure out how we can infuse this. So she brought the bass line arrangement and the vocals, and I was like, as we was putting it together and we was arranging, I was like, yo, we need to throw a hymn in the middle of this. And so that's what we came up with. There's power, power, wonder working power in the blood of the lamb. And so we infused that into the middle of it to to give the song a little bit more character and a little bit more interest and a little bit more of a graph of, working towards the climax, so to speak, of the song. And we were able to kind of build that out, and the hymn just added that perfect level of sauce to it. You know what I'm saying? As we kind of developed out the song and as it kind of progresses and continues to grow. So we did that, and then it comes right back into the vamp. You know what I mean? So let's dig in a little bit deeper with the actual production of the record. And I'm going to highlight and solo a bunch of stuff so you guys can kind of see what's going on, because a lot of stuff gets buried in the mix. A lot of the aux stuff, a lot of the perk stuff. So drums are drums. You heard the drums. We'll deal more with the drums when we get to the mixing part of it. But as far as like percussion section, I like to go really, really heavy with perk programming. And what we did with this, of course, I utilized, I got to get it up there so you guys can have it. Hopefully these QR codes actually work. Where is it at? We're going to look for, I need to get loop elements in here. There it is. Let's get that on the screen. Loop elements deluxe, boys and girls. Make sure you guys grab this. I'm going to keep it up on the screen while I talk about it. Loop elements really helped me make this record work into what it is. All the effects. So check out what all is going on here. So if you're looking for that kind of vibe, and if you know what loop elements is, it really, allows you to play your loops into your DAW or into your sequence or what have you, to your arrangement, with just, being able to create really fat loops, on the fly. So let's talk about what the percussion is doing, because there's several little things that I want to kind of highlight with the percussion that made this record what it is. And there's some really good things that you guys would miss if you're not paying attention. So if I come out of the solo, first of all, there's no loop that happens at the beginning. Now there are songs where that's cool to do. I could have and came into the record that way, but I chose not to do that. I chose to kind of leave it open on the beginning. So the loop doesn't actually come in until the first part of the record itself. All right. So then we get into it. Then we have like these big hits that kind of come in. They kind of come in on that. Look, it's right in there. And then when we get to the verse, everything drops out, but this one little space right here. So I didn't leave the loop like running static throughout the entire thing. You see what I'm saying? Like I kept the loop. I broke it down for those spaces. You know what I mean? That's a key component to doing your loops and making sure that you're producing your loops. As my guy Dave Outing always says, produce your loops. You got to make sure it's not distracting.
I've overcome by the blood of the Lamb.
So it's like it's there, not there. You know what I mean? It's just adding some other thing. So another thing that I love to do with the loop is break it when there are things going on. So when there's something major going on, like a line. So we go here. So right before we get into the chorus, it just cuts. Then it comes back in, right? So here's what happens right here in that moment. There's a line that comes there. I'm gonna show you other places where it does it. The loop cuts completely here. I found that loops, when you have something static going, it tends to get in the way when you're doing lines. Lines need to sing. Lines need to kind of, have their space to kind of breathe. And if you got something busy going on in your percussion track, and you got you got something going on in there, that loop and all of the busyness and the syncopation of that is going to get in the way of what's going on musically. So I'll show you a couple of other examples where I broke the loop. So right here, we're in the second verse of the song, right? So it's going full on. And it stops. We got that in there. But I gave space. So what's going on right there? Let's check out what went on in that spot.
He will give you a garment
And then it comes back in. You see what I'm saying? And then there's another space. You can see it like right in here where we broke it again, right in this little gap. Because what's going on right there? So you see how much cleaner that line feels when you got space for it to kind of breathe, you know what I mean, in the midst of all of that, because that's a type of line or progression that is actually kind of retarding, so to speak. It is slowing down. It's kind of off-putting, off rhythm, and we're kind of transitioning. Now, it doesn't actually break they don't go off grid. It doesn't go off grid, but it's syncopated in the rhythm. So if I got this static loop going, I'm going to lose transition in there. And so again, we break down into this part here with the hymn, and there's no loop. There's no loop in this part at all. No loop, none. Like this whole section, it actually does not come back in until we get into the vamp. One, because I wanted this part to feel more intimate. You know what I mean? I wanted it to feel very kind of like we're in church. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more when we dig into the mixing aspect of it, of how I wanted to present this whole piece of the song. I wanted it to be very intimate, almost like her, the piano, and the organ. And if you got, again, production stuff, if you got a loop that's just there is power, wonder working power, it's messing with what's going on in that moment. And so as producers, as arrangers, you have to think about what serves the song best. And when I started looking at it and listening to it, because I kind of broke down the loop and just kind of went to what was kind of like in the verse. And I was like, nah, that takes away from the song. So there's no rule that says that the loop has to go. In fact, it has to go through the whole song. In fact, it's best when you can give the loop and spaces to breathe. So you can see all of these gaps that I cut out of the loop. And I'm going to show you some other spots where it really gets really, really good. So there's nothing going on right here. Then it comes back in. We add in a shaker right here. This is the first time the shaker comes in. And then we add in some claps right here. See what I'm saying? So it's all of the previous efforts or elements rather, but we added in claps and a shaker to help this part really move. Now you can't hear all that. Of course, that's all drowned in the rest of the mix, right? But it's one of those things, those elements that, pun intended, that if it's missing, you'll know it's gone. See how much life went out of the song just muting the loop or muting the percussion. That's what happens there. So next thing we did was in this big section, I wanted it to be really, really big. So we added in more claps, and then that's where the line comes in. See how it all dropped out? What was going on right there? Let's see what's going on right there. There's a whole line going on right there. So when we get to this part, this is where it really drives. Pull in big claps, like 4 on the 4. Even though it's 6/8, we did 4 on the 4 claps. You know what I mean? To make it really, really, really fat. And we added in stomps. So again, I wanted to highlight that line, so I deleted that part out of there, right out in that section. So that's where this line, this special line of the song. See how it comes in. So when you get that whole section in the context, so it really drives home, the perk does, in that whole section. And then on the back end, we just kind of cut it off. Now there's this big explosion part that happens right here. So you gotta make your impacts count. You know what I'm saying? Don't just have them, just smack them, you know? See what I'm saying? That's how you produce your loops. The bass was by my guy Rod Stuckey, as I said before. Really, really amazing player. And as you can see, I even did some edits on his bass just to kind of cut out some spaces, because a lot of times what happens is basses have, like, you know, especially the ones that have pickups in them, they'll have like a hum or a little hiss or something like that. So sometimes, you know, when they're not playing those pickups, especially when they may not hear it when they're recording. You may not hear it at all when you're recording, but when you add like compression and EQ and all of that stuff like that, it starts to really start to sing. So I'm going to talk about how I mixed the bass, as well as highlight some of the stuff in here that was really, really dope. I just cut out some of the stuff. Like this was probably right in the hymn part, I'm assuming. No, that was going into the verse. So I let them kind of fade out. Yeah, we just faded them out and brought them back in at the chorus. And then this was probably the hymn. Just clean some of that stuff up, you know what I mean? As far as mixing on the bass, nothing too crazy. Just got my regular Pro Q, dipping out some frequencies. CLA 2A, got that going. Not even really, probably not even doing no heavy compression. Just kissing it. So it's not even really doing anything. We got Saturn on the bass.
My family is covered by. I am covered by the.
Saturn just adds a lot of little distortion in there that helps to cut those lines and stuff in there. So if we solo the bass by itself, I turn off. See how much money that is without Saturn. Just add some. So it just kind of helps it kind of sit in there a little bit. You know what I mean? Helps it sit in there a little bit better. So that is Saturn on there. I got R bass on the channel, but it's not even doing anything. It's not even active. And then I'm closing it out with R comp.
Overall sickness and disease is because of your blood that I'm alive.
So it's in there to kind of really give that in there. And I just really love that section of the song because it just gives that. So even with everything, the drums, they cut out, I think I even cut out a kick that was in there, and I cut out the loop, and you really get those moments where you just kind of remove the floor out from under, you know what I mean? Something, and it just does something to the production when you have those moments like that. And then you bring it back, it just adds something to the record. And that line to me is like the line of the record. I'm just sorry. I just love it. I anticipate that part. And it's like every time I hear it, it's like I'm hearing it for the first time. And I've heard it, I've listened to this at least 1,500 times since he played this line. So that's pretty much the bass. VMR is on it just to kind of close it out. Just nothing going on here, but just some channel saturation. Nothing crazy. Moving on to the keys. Again, the keys were played by my guy, Josh Isaac. It wasn't too much going on. He did keys, he did organ, and he did aux. So we're going to try to talk about these in one swoop. And I really want to highlight and show some of the aux work that he did, because Josh knows how to play aux. And that's one of the reasons why I let him, got him to do aux on this record, because he knows how to do aux and how to play like an aux player. So he's got the keys, the piano. Oh, we don't have the keys bus soloed, sorry. And he knows how to play keys. Look at that. I want to highlight something about this. So check that out. Now, how clean that is. Now, in the record itself, you got this going on. You notice he's not playing the downs. He's not going bomb, 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 bomb. Why? Because everybody's doing that line. You know what I mean? You give it some space to breathe. And he took his spots and took his moments. You know what I mean? And really made those lines count. He made every chord count. He knew what his part was to play. And then even in the verse, notice how he's playing whole notes. He's playing whole notes. He's not he's not like stylistic. He's playing the record. And that's a difference from playing the record like a record and playing it like you're in church. It's a big difference when you play those records like that. So I love that because he knows, because he played the piano on this record before we had vocals on it, before we had any other guitars or anything in there. So it's leaving space for the record to breathe, because what's going on in this section? Let's listen musically. Let's take the vocals out for a second so we can just focus on what the music is doing. I'm just gonna mute the Vox here. Leads, and let's make sure we mute the BGVs. Oh, maybe I didn't mute them. I need to. So we got acoustics in this spot. We got strings. And we got other aux instruments. So you gotta be basic in a song like this. You can't just run it all over. You gotta leave space. You can't, as a keys player, you can't play what the guitar player is supposed to play. You know what I mean? If he was doing all of that you know how we do when we playing in church. We trying to play full. I play full, Doc. Nah, you know, he played the record like it needed to be played. Organ's the same way. It's very tasteful. If we bring organ in here. And this is real organ. This isn't like a So here's something that's hilarious. Not hilarious, but made the record. Right. Y'all hear that little slide? That to me are moments that make records for organ. Check this. See that? How subtle it is, but it just does something in that moment. That it just does something. It explodes. So you got all of these elements coming together to really blend it. But the organ also shows up in a lot of other places where it's really important. So remember the part here in the hymn. Let's see where we are. Right here. So this part right here is just organ and keys. Then everybody comes in. So it's just very tasteful, very tasteful. And then the organ comes in again and puts some really sweet stuff right in this moment. I think it's right in here. When she's coming in here. And that highlights the aux as well. So you see how he's that little sign lead, not the sign, but the sign glide there. I mean, it's just a masterpiece. So speaking of aux, these aux tracks are like laced. So I don't think aux gets enough love on records. There is an art to aux. You have to do it well. And Josh is one that does it well. So I want to highlight a lot of his aux because you won't hear this as the record is going. You hear it in spots, and I brought it up in spots, but you really don't get to appreciate it. So let's bring, I think I solo this bus, sorry. Let's get the strings out of there too. I want to mute the strings for right now. Look at that. So of course you got the pads, but there's some stuff that it's doing that really makes some noise. Like this art right here. So you want to know how to play aux? This is how you play aux, Doc. Ox is more than just J-pop bells and Profi brass analog pad. It's like the kooky stuff. See how he builds a soundscape? Sounds you wouldn't even expect to be in there. Woo! See what I'm saying? That's how you do Ox. But if you don't have it in the record, you're gonna miss it. So if I take that whole section, take the Ox out. See how dry that sounds? Bring the Ox in. I mean, you got to appreciate it because aux players get the stuff in the records that adds the girth to a record that never really gets on the forefront. Then I cut aux completely for this section, I think. It doesn't really do much. I think that line is in there, and then it comes back in when we're coming out of the vamp. I mean, out of the... So if you're going to do aux, you got to stack it. I mean, he's got stuff in here that's just like... And you notice he's playing whole notes. Woo. It's building a soundscape. It's building a bed that everything else in the record is laying on top of. Man, it's so fire. Then we get to the big part. Check out what happens here. Woo. So you know what I appreciate? I mean, it's a lot of dope stuff going on in there. But what I appreciate the most in this section is this one little line right here that people probably forget about. It's this little one right here. Let's see if we can get it to play. It's that little pulsating one. It just adds so much momentum to this whole section. So let's bring it in. It's so subtle, but it's adding so much movement and life to this one section. Right, you don't notice it. You blink and you miss it, right? But if I take it out, you're gonna know it's gone. That's the thing about aux. Like, it may not be forefront, you may not appreciate it, but if you take out just one piece of it, it's like playing a game of Jenga. You pull out the wrong piece, the whole thing falls apart. I'll bring it back. Woo! Just adding so much life to the record. See that? That one line right there brings so much life to the record. See that? So that is Ox. Ox made up a big part of this record. I mean, I think Ox is probably from 63 to 78. Do the math of how many tracks that is. My brain, it's been a long day. I don't have time to kind of do that math, but if you can do that math real quick in your head, that's how many Ox tracks is in this song. Let me see what you guys are talking back. Take a quick break. Quick brain break here. Let's see here. Make sure I didn't miss anything. The way y'all integrated to him is so genius, right up my alley. Yes, sir. Like I said earlier, that's what I love to do. I love to mix the old with the new because people are going to complain. Oh, it's another CCM, GCM joint. They're going to complain about it. So it's like, no, you know what we're going to do? We're going to drop a hymn in the middle of this so y'all can't complain. Y'all can't say that we didn't help y'all out. Hit me up. I'm here, bro. I'm here. What's to say? Pro Tools and Logic has taken over, even though there are free DAWs. Not the same. Yeah, there's definitely Logic and Pro Tools are definitely the standards. Space, yes, space is important in a record. Let's see here. Make sure the keys. My man Dale says, think you need to reiterate the fact that you produced this record and only program the percussion. I think that's a good point. Cause most people say they'll say like, I produced this record. And the common thought process behind being a producer is that you have to play everything, is that you have to do everything. So in your mind, I guarantee you when I said I produced this record, what you instantly thought is I did all of the aux, I did all of the keys, I did I played the organ, I arranged it, I did all of that. When I said I produced it, that's the instant thing that went through your mind probably when I said I produced the record. But here's the thing with being a producer. I could be a producer and not even touch the record at all. Because I said this before on streams before and on situations before. You're a producer when you have a budget. Producers have budgets to work with. And that's not knocking anybody that, is doing, but you have to be clear about what the job and the function of a producer is. Let's be clear about what a producer is. A producer manages, he's the creative lead over the production. He oversees it from start to finish. Sometimes, yes, and a lot of times that does include playing all of the instruments himself or doing all of those things like that. But sometimes as a producer, you can touch a record and never, you can produce a record and never actually touch it. This is a prime example. I produced this record and the only thing that I did on it was program percussion or loops using loop elements. That is the only musical as far as like in the composition and besides arranging the song myself. I was a part of the arrangement of the song, but actual physical playing, I was not a part. I didn't play keys on the record. I didn't play organ on the record. I didn't do aux on the record. So you see what I'm saying? So there's no rule that says that you have to do it. As a producer, you have a budget. You work with a budget that the artist gives you or that the company gives you or that the label gives you. Those are what producers do. And I know this is a controversial point that a lot of people don't talk about or think about, but just because you have Logic and a MacBook Pro and a MIDI controller and an audio interface does not all of the sudden make you a producer. Producers have budgets. Producers have networks. Producers have connections. So it's all about. Here's another thing that would show that you're not always ready, or you're not in a 100% place to be a producer or to call yourself a producer. And I'm not trying to down anybody. I hope that's not how this is coming off as condescending. I just want to make sure that we're clear about what the function of what a producer does. A real producer knows how to get the right people in the room that will serve the record. I was able to look at this and say, stylistically, I need somebody that can do X, Y, Z. So I'll give you a prime example with this song in the hymn. Let's go here. I want to break down something with the keys, and let's go here. I'm going to show you guys something. One of the reasons why I called Josh to do the record as far as keys and playing and stuff is because stylistically, I knew that when it came to the hymn on this song, that's way back here. I need to go all the way back. Right here, this section. So stylistically, do I know how to play There's Power, Wonder Working Power in the Blood of the Lamb? Absolutely, I do know how to play that song. I grew up on that song. But here's the thing, I grew up Baptist. So my framework for playing that song is framed around Baptist. And Baptist isn't what this song needed. What this song needed was something a little bit more stylistic. And if I know that there's somebody, here's the thing that a lot of producers don't want to do or don't want to admit. It's a pride thing that you have to touch the record, you have to play, you have to. I've gotten to that point where I realize who can do this better than me. You know what I mean? Who can serve this part of the song better than I can? You know what I'm saying? And Josh, I knew stylistically he could pull it off. So that's the person I called to do the keys. I did not let my pride get in the way to say that I have to play on this record, that I have to be the one that did the keys, that I had to be the one to play. It would have been a totally different record. And when I let him put his hands on it, he was able to add some stuff in stylistically, hits and things that I wasn't even thinking about as we do. I have a whole session with Josh where I told him what I needed and he gave me what I needed back. So you see what I'm saying? That's what producers do. It's a creative lead that can lead. So I touched every part of this record. I sat on Zoom calls. I sat on phone calls, on FaceTime calls with the bass player, with the guitar player, with the drummer. I actually did virtual sessions with these guys and walked them through the record and told them exactly what I needed. That is the function of a producer. And I want you guys to understand that. I just want you guys to kind of expand your mind and get out of the mindset or the mentality that I have to produce, I have to play everything. Sometimes you need to call somebody else that could do it better than you do. What's the saying? Or at least the saying that I say, if you're the smartest person in the room, then you're pretty dumb. So I want to surround myself with people that are smarter than me. And it also frees me up creatively to start thinking of the big picture because I'm not close. I'm too close. So, because I know I got to mix the record. I got to know. So I'm thinking about the beginning from the end. Anyway, let me stop beating that horse because it's dead. Let's see what else we got here. If you don't mind sharing how much this costs you as a producer of the record and what the pub breakdown is like. I won't talk about publishing specifically. There is some publishing that I did. I did carry some of the publishing on it because I was a part of the arrangement. That is subject to negotiation for you as a producer. But if you did add to the arrangement creatively, you are entitled to a percentage of publishing. I gave publishing, me and Jazz, we split it some pub on this. And we also split it pub with Josh, the keys player, because he contributed to the record as a whole. The record, if you have a piece of the record that you play that the record wouldn't be what the record is without that part, then you're entitled to some of the publishing on that record. Cost wise, those things vary as well. I won't give my prices that I paid because those prices may be subject to change for the people that I used. But I did name the people that produced on that recorded on this record for me. You can reach out to them and get their prices that they charge for those things. I have a few things on the record that were done as favors in exchange for other things. Um, I work on the barter system with some people, which is nothing wrong with that because they know the value that they get from me giving them XYZ. I get value back by doing that. But that wasn't the entire record. Like that's only like maybe one person that I actually did a favor for in exchange for something. Um, and then the rest of the record I paid for, out of the budget or what have you. So you have to keep that in mind as a producer. Off my soapbox, let's dig in a little bit more. We got a few more things I want to get to, and I want to really dig into more of the mix stuff. Backtrack because I'm mixing, showing you guys the mix and the production as we go. When it came to piano, I got my go tos. Greg Wells on piano. I did add this RS 127 Abbey Road's joint, soft tube. Love it. Whenever I want something brighter, it's like a thing I grab. It's like a tool in my toolbox. Like I need some more brightness from this. It's a little dark. I just go grab this. It's just an instinctive part of my toolbox that I just go and grab because it's a simple one knob, flip it to 10K. Maybe I need some more 3 to 5. Maybe I need some more whatever, 2 dB, and boom, that did it. You know what I mean? So I just love this plugin. I use it on guitars a lot to brighten up stuff like that. You'll probably see it down in the guitar chain somewhere. I love that little thing. Organ, that's my EQ for my organ, Pro Q, just cutting out a lot of the, stuff that was going on. Sheps on the organ as well. Love Shep's Omni Channel. It's one of the kind of like a Swiss Army knife of plugins. Really, really dope stuff. That's it on the keys. Keys bust, just brick wall, brick wall to get all that stuff out the way under 100. And then add this old timer, just gives it some little grit, you know what I mean? And it gets some compression. So it's for some little saturation compression. Aux didn't really do much there. There's the aux bus. There it is. But I did drop T-Rax on there. I like to widen the aux just to kind of spread it out the way. And then 2A just to control the peaks. And that's just the bucks. Nothing on the tracks themselves. I let the tracks live however they lived right there. All right, so strings. Let's get in here. Strings were done by my guy Brian Williams. Let's solo these. He did a phenomenal job, and he laced me with strings. So, and he had we're doing a whole production class on this song. Like, there's going to be so much more stuff that's going to come. That's going to actually show the individual how Rod recorded bass, how Dukes did guitars, how Brian recorded strings, how everybody did everything. Like, I have the entire record recorded down, and I'm going to show you guys even the full mix, even the full master, everything about this record, background vocal recording, all of that stuff. You guys are going to be seeing that here pretty soon. But I love the way he enters his sections. Brian gets the call from me for strings because while it's not, he does virtual strings. It's not like an actual Nashville string section. He just knows how to play virtual strings, and he knows how to accent parts in the record. So I love it because this lets you know something crazy is about to happen when you hear it in the record. I mean, it's just like when you hear that coming in, you're like, my God in heaven, something is about to happen. And so it's just a phenomenal job that he did with really getting these strings in here. So I did some edits on his strings, as you'll be able to see coming in. And just kind of faded it out, you know, in spots. And then so here's something I want to show you guys here with this. Do I have a string? Let me highlight the strings here. There's actually more he did right here, but I cut it. So he actually kept playing. He actually did this. So he actually did that. Then he came in and then. But again, going back to the producer, creative lead, what works for the record, I knew that it would, when I heard it, it was taking away for what was going on with the lead vocal in this particular section.
He gave me a garment of praise for my.
I wanted to keep that part really, really open. You know what I mean? Like, and so it felt like the strings needs to be a moment. You know what I mean? Like in there for a moment, back out, and then he comes back in here. I love his glissandos, the way he leans into that a whole lot in this record, like going into sections, coming out of sections. Ooh. This is the second verse. God, that's so clean, bro. That is so clean. And it just accents this whole part when we go into the hymn. You see what I'm saying? It's knowing those moments and where they fit in really good. And then he comes back here. God, that is so clean. This is when we're in the precious blood of the Lamb part. That part. So check what he did right here. It's so crazy. And then he's just kind of padding from this point. He's not really doing anything. And that's pretty much what it does all the way up till we get to here. Dun, dun, dun. So when we get to that part, that's what he's doing. So he's just accenting all the lines. So clean, bro. Now watch how he cleans this out. Woo. Just so clean, bro. Like, just so clean when you hear it in the record. so clean, bro. And then he hits these other lines in here. I just want to always give these my guys their love. It's clean. So hit my guy Brian. Hit him for strings. He's my guy. I'm always gonna call him for strings. Unless I need like an actual string section, and I'd probably call Roy Cotton. But Brian normally gets everything done for me. As far as the strings and the mixing of them, there's my EQ. Love the brick wall stuff. And then I lean heavy on Sheps. Sheps is really where all of the action is happening with the strings, is all in Sheps. I had the just to throw it on there to see if it did anything. I didn't use it. I didn't use the what's it called? I did run the strings through the music verb. Just ran it through there, so it's going through the music verb, which is where is the music verb? Oh, not there. I use a specific verb on the strings, though. I'm gonna show you that in a second. But I did run it through the music verb, which is just our verb, and then the string verb itself. I'm running the strings through none other than Valhalla vintage verb, boys and girls. That is one of my favorite verbs on there, what have you, bro. But sorry, I'm sorry. I was seeing a text message there. So yeah. So we got this in there. That's the vintage verb, and we're gonna wrap this up here in just a second. But I want to make sure that I want to get down to these vocals because there's only the guitars left, and then we're gonna dig into these vocals. So let's see here. Acoustics were done by Aaron Daniels. I got the Infinity EQ on those. I told you about the RS rack. Again, got that on there. Then the 2A. And it's just simple. Nothing on the channels. I'm mixing from the buses. And I did my edits on the guitars. As you can see, I did some chops to kind of clean up some spaces. But the guitars Aaron does an amazing job with recording acoustic. That's why I call him. You see what I'm saying? So you got the left and rights. And then even in the verses, I really love how he does this in here. So what you're seeing is a lot of these edits are like squeaks that I edit out because, the guitar, fret squeaks, you get a lot of those. So a lot of these little cuts that you see in there are like squeaks that I was editing out. But here's something I want to show you guys that I did and I love to do in these sections. So there's no bass playing in this section, right? So what happens is when it goes to that place where stuff falls out, where the bass falls out of the song, the bottom falls out, right? You lose a lot, especially if you're doing like high pass filters like I love to do on stuff. So what I tend to do is turn off high pass filters in sections like this and so the song can keep some low end information, but we just get it from other instruments, right? So like when we're going in here with these guitars, when I get into this section here, you see how this the EQ cuts off? Watch it. I'll bring it up again here. So I got it automated. So because I got a low pass on it. But what happens is once we get in here, it cuts off. So now I'm getting the full low end from the guitars to keep some low end information in there. I believe, let me see, where else did I do that at? Did I do it on the aux bus? I don't know if I did it on, I don't think I did it on the aux. I know for sure I did it on the keys bus. So let's go over here to the keys bus right here, and let's watch the EQ. See, it's off. EQ is off on that part. So in this section, I'm getting the low end information from the piano and from the guitar because it's nice and warm. They have some nice, low end on both of those instruments. So I used it to kind of keep some maintaining of that. See those low notes? You know what I mean? So that's a way of maintaining your low end. I just like to do that in those sections or what have you. Guitars were done by my man Dukes. He did an amazing job. I got Affinity EQ 2A and the RS on there. So really good stuff. He's out on the verses. I think he has a couple of lines in here. Yep, that's in the nice cleans in there. Then back to the drives. One of the things Dukes did really, really well at in here was his shifting of tones in different spots. So he gave me the nice drives. Right. And then when we're into the part here, the hymn part, he switches tones and gives me a nice little clean. But then comes and gives me this. Makes it sing. So he's doubling the harmonies. He's giving harmony. Lord have mercy, giving me the harmony on the guitars, and he's giving me the rhythm. And it's one of those things. Again, you notice it if it's gone. But if I take out that when you're in the vamp, I take out that rhythm. And what I'm trying to do in this vamp and all of this section is create a wall of sound. It's one of my favorite concepts. It's just so much going on and everybody's playing their part, but it's all in different spaces. And so it literally creates a wall that you can't, it all sounds like one unit. That's why everybody playing their part is important. You know what I mean? Because we want to make sure that everybody, it feels like one cohesive. Because people, they only hear Gen Pop. We're talking about regular people. They only hear the two things in the song. They hear the vocals, and they hear the music. And to them, they are just two things. It's the music. Oh, the music sounds good. And there's the vocals. You know what I mean? Unless it's instrumental music, and that's a whole different thing. Us as the audio nerds and the musicians and the producers, we listen to all of these other parts and try to pick stuff. But Gen Pop, which is regular people, they just hear music and vocals. And so if your music is not cohesive and it doesn't feel like one unit playing, then you're going to lose traction in the song itself. So that's kind of my perspective on that. So everything in here is a stack, from the percussion to the drums, all of those things like that. Now, I didn't talk about the drums in terms of the mix. Drums are pretty stacked with Yosh Warehouse. It's my usual kind of flavor. If you've been following for a while, I got a lot of triggers on here. I got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 triggers on this. Sounds like a gunshot almost, but it works for this record because this record is rockish. And again, it's so much sound in there. There's so much going on. It's so dense. You really want that snare to sound. I wanted it as the producer and as the mix engineer. I wanted that sound, the snare to sound powerful and big. I wanted it to sound big, even from the intro when you're coming in, making a statement. It's gotta smack you in the face. It's gotta make a statement. And that was my whole goal with that. All right. Those are the drums. I talk about my drums every week. I just got the standards, stuff on it. I got VMR working this week, actually doing something with those two modules. Lil Neve, Lil 76, Bluey going. Got the T-Rex widener, Pro Q, nothing on the kick, but I got this API on the kick pumping. And then I got a bunch of triggers on the snare going all down there. SSL on the hi-hat. There it is. Oh, those are snares. And then nothing on the toms, on the actual toms themselves, because they sounded good as is. CLA mix hub on the overheads. And all of the cymbals, the rides, all of that, everything on there. On the toms though, I did do CLA drums. I put the decapitator on them. Just felt good. And then a little bit of Pro Q, and then ran them through the drum verb. It's not even going through the drum verb. So all of the verb on the toms is actually coming from CLA drums. So those are the drums on that record. Really, really dope. Let's dig down into the vocals. Again, Jazz has a nice little kind of Tasha Cobbs-esque type vocal. So, especially when she gets into the vamp and stuff. So it's very dynamic. So I had to do a lot of automation. So I want to highlight this because this is what really makes this record work. I had to literally go through her vocal all the way through the song and kind of maintain her levels and clip gain. As you can see, there's some clip gaining going on and there's some vocal riding going on to kind of keep it, especially when she gets into this space.
Free my mind. We'll overcome. Yes, we'll overcome. My family's covered by. I am covered by the blood of the Lamb. Oh, the blood of the Lamb. My healing is in. I can plead the blood of Jesus. Plead it over my body. Over all sickness and disease. It's because
So she's very dynamic. So here's something I do want to highlight with the vocal. This is production and mixing in the hymn part. And then we're going to dig. I know I've been on for a while tonight, guys. I didn't mean to be on as long as I am. Okay, in the hymn part. So specifically here,
for your heaviness, there is power, wonder working.
I want you guys to hear what happens. Her vocal goes from wet to dry in this section right here. So we're here.
Oh, there is power, wonder working power in the blood
There's some more.
of the Lamb. Oh, there is power, wonder working.
So I did that on purpose because I wanted this moment to feel intimate.
Oh, there is power, wonder working power in the blood.
Then we give us some more space.
Of the Lamb. Oh, there
And I did the same thing, I believe, with the BGVs. I think I dried them up a little bit. Let's see here. What did I do? Oh, it didn't solo the bus. It's muted. No, there he is.
Wonder working power in the precious blood of the Lamb.
So we got that in there. And I'm gonna do again, I got a full production class that's gonna break down like how I recorded these BGVs and even like I have the full mixing, how I went through and mixed the record and stuff as well. So it'll be a little bit more detailed in that when that piece of content comes out, when we get to editing it and all of that stuff. But as you can see, I had to do the same thing with the vocals as well. I had to ride them throughout there as well with automation. It just what makes records work when you learn how to do automation and do it right. And that's pretty much the record. If you guys got any specific questions, you can go ahead and ask them. We're going to get ready and kind of close out for the night. Let's see what questions we got, what I missed, and all of that good stuff like that. I enjoy doing these with you guys. Let's see what we got here. Wave's been under fire all week. They've been under fire in the last week. Yeah, I'm definitely a Waves. I'm a Waves user. I'm a Waves. Let's see, Stimly. Okay, well we'll deal with we'll dig into that after the stream. We'll figure out what's going on with that. I apologize for what's going on with that. We'll see what's going on with that, guys. Strings of singing. We'll see what order do you have the musicians play in their parts? Do you send a reference and have everybody build off that? Exactly. Yeah, we sent a reference out and then we built off of the reference. We got keys laid down, aux first. I think Josh even did like key drums as a reference for me. And then we sent and he did dummy bass. So Josh basically sketched the entire track out after I gave him the blueprint. He sketched it all the way out: bass, drums, keys, everything. And then as we sent it out, I think I got bass, guitars, acoustics, then drums was the last in that sequence. And then strings actually came last after we recorded vocals. Because Brian needed to kind of know where the placements and stuff. So he was the last musician to be on the record as we were producing that or what have you. So you do automation to turn it off. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. EQ. Yep. When bouncing stems, do you bounce mix bus effects to keep your mix sounding the same, separate stems? Yes, yep. I try to. And then if I got verb, typically I'll try to bounce a verb bus just to kind of give some separation. Oh, thank you. Spike Lee good glasses. Hilarious. Love the low end energy, bass and kick drum. They give the mix that thick sound. Yep. Let's see where we go. I want to make sure I know you guys been talking. What's the snare and kit sample in the drum triggers? I'm using. Let's see. I'll show you guys that. I'm using on the snare and kick. We're using Yosh Drum Warehouse stuff, of course. So I do have the slate snare. That's the built-in slate snare. I just like the way that sounds. Then we have the Brett snare. That's part of Yosh Warehouse. We have the popcorn snare and the wallet snare in there. We have the absolute snare, everybody's favorite absolute snare, just room only. So those are like 3 snares mixed in. So it's a stacked snare. It's not just one trigger. What is this up here? Oh, that's the slate snare. So yeah, those are the triggers on that, I believe. Yeah, all 4 triggers. What's this one right here? It just says snare. Oh, I actually had part of the sample is the snares is actually Ashton's snare itself. He actually sent me his snare sample as well, sample of his snare. We'll talk about that in another video of how and why he did that. Did you actually add auto-tune to lead vocals? No, I had them tuned though. I had them tuned by a professional. My guy Roy Uman tuned them for me. That's a really nice technique on the lead vocal automation during the hymn. Yep, it's just to kind of give the song, it's an artsy part of it, just to make it artsy. So we're going to get out of here. We're going to get out of here, guys. We're going to get out of here. I appreciate you. So you guys make sure that you hit the subscribe button, hit the follow button, depending on where you are. I appreciate all you guys do. And we'll talk to you guys next week. We will be back again, hopefully, with Mixed Mondays, with some brand new stuff and some good stuff for you guys to check out. All right. That's all I got. I'll talk to you guys later.